welcome to the stream. Ooh, we got to adjust the cameras.
Uh-oh.
Always something to do.
I like it. It reminds me of like the 1990s TV channels when you switch on one of them that doesn't work.
You gotta wiggle the antenna.
Yeah. Perfect. See a little maybe HBO special. Cinemax. That's it. That's what I was thinking of.
Skinemax? Cinemax?
You can hear noises, but you couldn't really see much.
Well, welcome to the stream, everybody. We're joined by our co-host today, Courtney.
Hey, everybody.
I think we're waiting for... I don't think Jerry's coming on today.
Sean just came on.
Huh?
Sean just came on.
Oh, Sean's on? Can everybody... Let's do an audio check.
Oh, right.
Can you guys hear in chat? Yep. Can you hear everybody?
Hello.
Hello.
Sean, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys.
Okay.
Okay, Jamie Odell says yes.
Okay.
All right. Simple Man's first in chat. Good to see Simple Man's here. Carson McKinney. Good to see Carson McKinney. Are you back home from SCAD or are you still down in Georgia? Mr. Jamie Odell's here. Yo, yo, yo. Mr. Flowers. Good to see Mr. Flowers is back. Really want to learn cross-hatching and shading style. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Okay. Maybe we can go over that or I'll point that out a little bit more as we do today's drawing. Sean, Courtney, any idea what we should draw today? Anything in the news? Anything coming up? Current events?
Sean's more the news than I am, I feel like.
It's in the news. Post Malone's comic.
What?
The return of the Marvel swimsuit issue. Maybe you want to do something with that.
Ooh la la.
Post Malone has a comic?
Doesn't he?
Does he? Who's drawing it?
I don't know.
Post Malone.
But yeah, he's kind of through.
He's got like yellow fever. Does he have yellow fever? Isn't he going through?
He's a nerdy white guy, so I think so.
His ex-wife. He's going through a paternity lawsuit with his ex, and then his new squeeze, his fellow cousin. DYL Pickles here. Good to see DYL Pickle. Mr. Joshua, winner of this Judge Dredd sketch from last week. Good to see Mr. Joshua. Go Lakers. Are the Lakers playing right now? Are they? I guess. I don't know. Let's see. Let's do a little research. What's Post Malone? I hope you hired an Asian artist.
Kevin P. West says The Thing. The Thing is always fun.
Yeah, that was one of the runner-ups from last week. Post Malone comic. Horror, a big rig. Here it is.
Yeah, I think it's one of those comics where it takes place in another time and they go through like into another universe through a portal, but they bring a big truck with them. It's one of those things.
It's a free comic book day. Let's see. 9 times Diamond Certified Grammy Award nominated Post Malone, Vault Comics, and Platinum Dunes team bring up Post Malone's Big Rig to Free Comic Book Day 2025.
Oh, so it's already done.
Written by Post Malone and Adrian Wassel, and drawn by Nathan Gooden. Oh, I know Nathan. Nathan went to Pratt, played on the basketball team at Pratt. Shout out to Nathan Gooden. The first chapter will be released exclusively at local comic book shops on Free Comic Book Day 2025. Huh.
And so the question is, with this huge celebrity involved, whether that comic is going to sell like 100,000, 200,000 copies because of that. It doesn't have to be well written or drawn, or it doesn't matter who's drawing. It's just that someone's name is attached that's really big, and then all of his a percentage of his fans buy it, and that's way more than just an average comic being sold.
Here it is. Let me pull this up on screen. Well, it's not. Is it a Kickstarter? It doesn't say it's a Kickstarter. It just
If
says.
it's out for a free comic book day, then it's already out. I mean, it's already done.
Is it? Well, it's already done, but is it out? Out like in the shops already? This is previews. The cover looks good. I mean, Nate's a good artist. Nate's a pretty good artist.
You taught him, right?
Hmm?
You taught him everything you know. He should cut you part of his royalty check.
He's actually really, he you might have met him at New York Comic Con like a while ago, maybe like, I want to say like 10 years ago or so, or 8 years ago. And, he had an interest, I didn't even know he had an interest in drawing comics. And got him into Comic Con, but, he's really kind of built himself up on his own. He has his own publishing company. They do a bunch of books. They're it's all independent, but they've gotten a few movie deals out of some of the IP. I think that's Vault Comic. They used to be where we were located in San Diego Comic Con. So yeah, it's had to be over 10 to 12 years ago. They had the booth. You know where the Scientologist booth was compared to where we were at? They were like next to us. They were next to the Scientologist booth. Or I think they eventually took that over. I don't think he has anything with... I think is that Fletch? There's some kind of glitch on the...
No. I think that's coming from Courtney.
That's Courtney.
What am I doing? What's happening?
I don't know. Something when you're about to speak, there's like a fan or something, like some kind of audio. Well, anyways, I'm wondering if there is any additional images outside of this. Here we go. Big red.
How do you think it's gonna do?
I don't know.
If it could be something like the Eric July thing. Like Eric July is not really, no one's even heard of him until he got into comics. So Post Malone is a household name, and then he has a comic book out, and he just tells his followers like, "Hey, buy my comic." So that's what is that, 250,000 or 500,000 in sales, right there.
Yeah, I think. I mean, how much is the book too? We're talking about sales is one thing,
Look, the interiors look good. That bird in the eye thing is.
Oh yeah, Nate's a good artist. There's no joke. I mean, he's been mainly drawing his own books. Otherwise, he should be drawing a monthly book for Marvel DC. But his stuff is very, very solid.
This could be a big deal.
There's an eyeball. This looks like it's if it's in black and white, it would definitely go in the kind of trying to tap a little bit of the manga audience. And
yeah, it's got nice gray tones and a lot of hatching.
And it's interesting. I mean, I do believe that there is kind of a component of a black and white comic in this in the industry as itself. I do think there is space for a black and white comic, and then, but also, I don't think like every single comic needs to be colored or rendered to the tilt. There could be a color or fully rendered version of this as a secondary, more collector's item. But I'm definitely in agreement if they're publishing this first as a black and white to kind of maybe lower the cost, the production cost, so that they can get more copies in the hands of readers and building up a readership. I mean, you could also
Honestly,
do that digitally, but
I don't see how colors would actually make this any better. I think it's with the gray tones, it looks really good.
yeah, and I do think, I mean, it looks excellent. You know, this last image with the truck. You know, it's again, I think they're trying to create a product that resonates a lot more with the manga readers. You know, the manga readers are used to black and white, and there hasn't been any kind of. Since I was a kid reading comics back in Taiwan, reading manga, it was always black and white, and with gray tones or zipper tones back then. But who's Adrian Wassel? What has he?
It's probably Post Malone's friend.
I think he's probably copied. So he's done. I think he's done a bunch of stuff for Vault. Oh, he's editor in chief of Vault. Yeah, so Vault is Nathan's company. So they actually work together. So I think this is a project where they probably went to Nathan, and since he has his whole publishing setup, it's already ready to go. I don't know how the sales would be. It's interesting. Did it say how much the comics were on the cover? The cover was a free comic book cover, free comic book day cover. It could just be free. I mean, I think Post Malone has enough money to cover all the production costs without any without a blink of the eye. And then the rest is just proof of concept, and then using this to. I mean, this eyeball thing is really pretty interesting. That's a really cool first shot with just the feet.
Yeah, this looks really good. So I just wonder. I mean, I think the story sounds a little hokey. I don't know if this is like a genre of story or a type of story, but like I said, I think it has to do with some sort of portal, and they go in and they have to fight these demons, but they can bring along with them, and they bring along like a big rig. So it's like Road Warrior or Big Trouble in Little China, or that Scott Snyder one thing where there's like a truck involved. So it sounds like a hokey story that is just a lot of fun, more fun than a great story, but it should do really well for them.
Here's another article. Here's another cover. This is an interesting cover.
There's probably a ton of variants.
This looks like is this a
Peach.
Is this a Peach Momoko?
Peach Momoko, yeah. Yeah, so they're not messing around. I mean, they got a budget, and they got a ringer, and
what is this? This is this looks like it's with the red truck. Who's this? I can't tell. Maybe this is Nathan.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't place it either.
I was gonna say Sean Gordon Murphy, but the girl's nose is not Sean Gordon Murphy's nose. So these are the rest of the pages we saw earlier. Okay.
And this is one to watch for sure.
Double-sized issue, and there's no price on the cover. So,
Is it going to be printed, or is it only digital?
I think it's being printed for Free Comic Book Day, which is
okay.
Next weekend.
So it's not just a digital release for Free Comic Book Day. It'd be printed too, probably.
Well, it's a Free Comic Book Day, and then a big rig will be on sale July 9th from Vault Comics. So there's a let's see, fans can check with the local comic book shops. Okay, well, a special preview edition will be available as part of Free Comic Book Day on Saturday, May 3rd, and then can check the local shops for availability regarding the series, including direct-to-consumer collected editions, which will be available for pre-order in May and will begin shipping in October. Yeah, so they're going to produce a higher-end edition for collectors, a collected edition.
Sounds very smart, and I think they really know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, well, with any of these new books, the hardest part is getting the property into the hands of as many people as you can, and there's a couple ways of doing that. You know, if you're trying to chase, I think it's at some point it's faulty to try to chase a particular goal. Anything outside of maximum readership, you know, is I wouldn't go for anything but just trying to get the maximum readership up. So, because you have to believe in the quality of your work first of all, right? You got to believe that the writing's good and the art is good, and if you have belief in that, then you want to try to get this in as many people's hands as possible, so that they'll love it too, and then that they'll buy it later on, or they'll buy other versions of this, or they'll buy the continuing stories of this. So, anyways.
What if less than half the people read it? It seems like this is one that people will collect and not even open, so it's in pristine condition, because it's definitely something to collect. And then, like, maybe only a third of the people would actually read it, or they'll buy one copy to read. So, I mean, do you think that that's a bad thing? Or, I mean, money is money. So, I mean collectors actually will spend $25 a book.
Well, this is the other. Here's another Vault comic, kind of another preview. Let's see if it's kind of pixelated. You know, this is well, maybe Courtney can help with this answer. Like, people, the kids that read manga, they don't really, do they collect manga? Like, in a sense where, yeah, they collect manga to read it, but is it a collectible where, you know, I haven't seen any CGC graded mangas.
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, I've only seen, like, only in my personal, like, looking for older manga too that was once printed. Like, you won't see, like, oh, this was like the first printed edition of this, or or limited edition. There's no limited editions, or of course no real like variant covers or anything like that. So I think they buy it, they read it, they kind of destroy it, and then it winds up like in Book Off maybe, or because I had a lot of manga when I was growing up. Like, I had a huge collection, and I just sold it all because I was just like, and maybe that was a bad idea, but I had way too much.
I have seen some, you know, because the books they go out of print, so I did remember seeing something about someone getting an entire set of the first edition of a particular manga, right? But
I think it has to be really special, like a very popular one, like and yeah, I've seen the full collections for sale for a lot more than it's worth too. But I think it's just sometimes, but I look for the Japanese ones too in America, and those are harder to get their hands on. So I think, but yeah, especially with Tokyo Pop being so problematic, and yeah, I could see that. But I never heard of it. Like, nobody's like, oh, this is mint condition, like, comic. If people would want to get it to read it, not to
that's
keep it as something that's
trying to get at.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like manga readers aren't so infatuated with keeping the books in mint condition, or the collectability of of a book. Whereas, like, American comic book, and this includes superhero and independent readers, uh, the popularity of a book can be confused with the collectability or value of a book, and they kind of go synonymous. They're kind of synonymous with each other, which I don't
Yeah.
necessarily think is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be, but Sean, what do you think about that? I mean, there are books that, like, I know books that were part of this free comic book day years ago, and now, like, those exact books are worth like hundreds, or a few $100, or maybe even, I don't know, like $1,000, or because of the collectability of this one-time free comic book giveaway promo. And then that, when you hear like, oh, this book is, let's say this book of like Sketch Fighters from Free Comic Book Day 2010 is now worth like $500. It gives the reader, the reader has the misconception that this is a good book, right? Because of the perceived collectability of the collectability aspect of the physical book itself, but it has nothing to do with the content, or does it?
Yeah. Well, ideally, you want both types of people to buy a book. The problem is, like, if anyone wants to read, they don't just be like the manga and the webtoon people. Any book you want to read, you can read for free online, and you don't have to be burdened with having like inventory or be able to have to store it. So you can get the whole story and see the artwork, and that's free. But then someone wants to collect, they can spend $25 on a comic, or even more if it's a rare one. They'll spend like so. This industry is propped up on people who collect. So I know from being a self-publisher type person that I need people to collect, because that's what's paying the bills. So that's what's paying my page.
Why do you need people to collect?
Because they'll spend $25 on it, and then the people who want to read it can read it for free. So I get nothing from the people who want to read it. A lot of times. So so far, Evermind, each issue costs $25, and so all the copies sold so far have gone to people who collected, may not be reading it.
Right, but so why couldn't you sell the book for less than $25?
That's, I mean, ideally you have a different level, because we're going to print some on that toilet paper shit and then send it to the stores, and then if anyone wants to hold a copy and read it, they can do that too, and it's going to be like $5.
I mean, but
so
you say that you're printing it on toilet paper shit like the old newsprint, but
yeah.
The Spider-Mans and the Supermans that are worth thousands of dollars are printed on the same newsprint. So,
yeah. Well,
I mean, that's what I'm talking about in terms of creating something that you're putting so much value on presentation. The cost has to, the cost of the product versus how much you're going to sell, and profit margins, it increases that. So you then have to sell it for $25. But why not print on newsprint and get the story out to as many readers as possible, that then you'll be able to build a larger following. And ultimately, coupled with sales, is ultimately ancillary products, which is kind of one of the goals, right?
Right. Well, you kind of do it all, because you know how, like, when you make a movie, it goes to the movie theaters first, and then it eventually ends up on TV and then on streaming. So you do it. I mean, I guess there is a plan for people to participate on all levels. So I guess the first out of the gate is the more exclusive to be the first, and then you get the higher end one. So all those people who bought through my Kickstarter, all like 41 grand, those are all mostly people who collect and they're gonna keep it.
Right.
And then
So
later
they're-
on, it goes
so
to the
they're
stores.
they're not necessarily gonna read it. Like I read the
Yeah.
digital copies.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if people read, again, digital comics. I know people that are overseas will read digital comics because
Well, most people buy both. So
they can't get a hold of it. But why like? I mean, this is a whole discussion about comics publishing and or even and you throw in this crowdsource funding thing, and then you talk about numbers of sales. That oftentimes is goosed. The crowdsource funding numbers are goosed. You can't trust any of that numbers. You can't trust any of the numbers on the other side. You bring up Eric July, like his sales are diminishing. They're following the standard diminishing decline in terms of sales. Like the first one, let's say, sells 100,000. The second issue is going to sell around half of that, or 2/3, and then the third issue is going to be half of that. And if you look at his books now, we are 4 years out. Each book that's come out every year has been incrementally less than previous, even though his is different titles of an intertwined universe. So, Yojimbo says Post Malone's got Korean fever, not just yellow fever. Very specific. I don't know anything about that, but I just know that his what I see in the tabloids. Games that starts at 7, so it just started. All right, so we have half of the people watching the Laker game, and then half listening in. So let's see what we're going to draw today. I think this is beginning to...
Jerry's here.
Huh?
Jerry's here, isn't he?
What's up, guys?
Oh, Jerry, what's up? I thought you'd be, home because you got other stuff you got to take care of.
Well, I gotta go to the store tomorrow, so it didn't make sense for me to go back. I'll go back tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I hope everything's well. Anyways, let's see. Let's talk about what we're gonna draw.
Simple Man put a
Simple Man's got a bunch of suggestions. Anyways, I hope the book does well with Post Malone.
Post Malone has a book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
you
should
should
talk
check
about
it
it
out.
for the last half hour. Post Malone has a book. We're talking. Initially, I was, since Post Malone has yellow fever, Yojimbo says more specifically Korean fever. We're wondering
Is that true?
initially, did he hire any Asian artists or creatives to work on his book?
He hired Blackpink to draw it.
Yeah. And then, do you want to see it again? Do we need to pull it back up?
So wait, sorry. Post Malone has a Kickstarter. Is that
Not a Kickstarter. No, he has a new comic book coming out called Big Rig.
Big Rig?
It's a horror fantasy book about, I guess it looks like 3 people driving a big rig into a demon verse kind of.
Didn't Daniel Warren Johnson do this already?
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that. I mean, even like Big Trouble in Little China has a big rig in a fantasy demon world.
No, but I could have sworn Daniel Warren Johnson literally did a comic on this very subject.
It sounds familiar to me.
Yeah, I think it's a very common trope.
I think the big rig
White
is
people, right?
probably. I mean, it's
What was that?
That was a big rig.
that was a big
That
rig.
was a duck.
That was a big rig. that drove
Downshifting
right by.
truck.
Look, in all cases with all of these things, we might sound somewhat negative, but I do hope that the book does great. I think this book will do well. I mean, I know you can tell that the quality of the book is top tier. Um, and if it brings in new readers, then it brings in new readers. That's great. That's great for the industry. If it's able to convert a couple of manga readers to American comics readers, that's great. If it's able to
agree.
bring back old time readers who had stopped collecting and then, or stopped reading and then coming back, you know, again, we're talking about collectability aspect versus just reading the book itself. You know, most of the people that buy comics, or I shouldn't say most, but there is a good amount of people that I bump into at shows that get books signed, that come by and say hello, but they haven't finished reading the entire pull list yet. And you know, it's just not enough time. So, anyways, that's the Jerry. You seen any of this stuff? It's pretty good.
I mean, it looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, you got the truck. I mean, that's big rigs are difficult to draw. The big tires.
Well, do you think that they use what if those like a SketchUp model or something like that? I mean, you can buy that truck,
possibly. I could.
and then you can
that.
trace over it because the perspective looks flawless.
Yeah, I mean, you can tell I mean, Nathan can draw already. So even by this page here with the 9 panels, there's a lot of acting, a lot of cameras moving in and out, up shots. Just great composition.
These panels don't line up though, man. Like you should try to get the easy things right.
You know, that's it's surprising. That's one thing. If you guys are starting out, I was working with an artist last week, and he has sent me some layouts. But you know, I tell like especially younger artists, your layouts need to be almost as tight as your finished pencils. That way, you can pick out as many flaws beforehand and correct them. And one of them being the gutter space in between panels needs to be consistent. And it's like, you know, they're like, oh, well, I'll fix it, you know, in the finals. Just fix it now. Fix it now in the rough. Why? It's almost, again, I talk about sports. Why are you practicing to miss? You should everything you should practice should be to make, not to miss. Miss is only a deficiency component. Anyways, let's hope this does well. They got a Peaches Momoko cover. This is a pretty cool piece of artwork. I could see this on a T-shirt or a print. She's been doing a lot of work. She's been doing a
Non-stop.
lot of work. What is that? Is that me? Oh,
That's not me.
that is
Is
me.
someone entering the stage?
That was did you guys watch WrestleMania this week? All right. Who do we got Simple Man has a bunch of let's do a poll. Let's see what we're going to draw. Let's do a managed poll. What should we sketch? If you guys can read off of the chat. I can't read off of the chat when I'm typing the poll. What are we sketching today?
Mr.
Mr.
Joshua
Joshua
says,
said,
draw
draw
the
the-
Pope.
Draw the Pope, yes.
Okay, so the thing was the first one. The thing. Pope was the second. Okay, Pope is the second one. All right, we'll figure out what kind of Pope afterwards.
There's a lot of comics in Spain that have feature in it, and Italy that have the Pope in it. It's like Battle Pope, and then Pope is a superhero.
Dude, they have a Pope like little kind of like anime or like a Vatican like little cartoon anime like guy, you know,
Jeez.
like a mascot. Yeah, they came out with that. Like, what was that? I gotta find that.
Okay, let's. I need 3 more suggestions. So what other 3 more suggestions to fill out this poll? have the Thing, the Pope. What else? Can you guys read the chat? I can't read it with the poll up.
Moon
Shouldn't you be
Knight,
drawing like
Onslaught.
Superman? Isn't everyone into Superman nowadays?
Well, it was Superman Day, but that was
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Superman Day. Was last Friday, or this past Friday?
Oh, sorry.
So I posted a Superman drawing, but my Superman drawing from when I was 6
Oh
years old.
yeah.
But come on, I need three more sketch ideas.
I don't know these characters, so Sean, you're gonna have to read them off.
There were so many of them. Yeah, they were
Wasn't
kind of
there,
obscure.
was there an Invincible character last week that we mentioned?
Invincible?
A character from Invincible? Anybody? You just read them off a chat.
I think you should do part of the swimsuit edition and just make a sexy Pope.
That's sacrilegious.
That's what this Jew is telling you to do.
But then I'd have to draw like a bust.
All right, make it with big titties.
Anybody else have any other ideas on what to draw?
Better ideas.
I mean, if the Pope wins, then we can talk about what kind of Pope that we're going to draw. But otherwise, I need three more ideas right now.
I think you'll get in trouble if you try to do that.
Anybody
Draw
in
the
chat?
Pope.
Moon Knight,
Alan the Alien.
huh? Conquest.
Alan the Alien from Invincibles was
Oh yeah,
was
that was
brought up
What was
before.
that? Alan the Alien. Okay.
Yeah, whatever he is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but
Is he like Squidward?
what else? Anything else?
You can draw a big truck.
No.
Post Malone.
Yeah, draw Post Malone.
Okay, I'll draw Post Malone would be a. And then one more.
Daredevil, Human Torch, Mushroom Man.
Mushroom Man.
Or, who's Mushroom Man? Indiana Jones. There's a new video game, maybe. John Cena.
Who won the Who won the WrestleMania? Who was it?
Iceman.
Who won WrestleMania this weekend?
There's a request for you to draw yourself, Bernard.
John Cena.
No, John Cena won. Okay, John Cena. All right.
Is he still playing?
Yes. Yeah,
Playing?
he's back. He's a bad
Is
guy
it
now.
playing? Oh yeah, he's a bad guy. I didn't know if he was like just coming in to be a bad guy for like a brief,
Well, I think he
Stick.
needs to promote Peacemaker. So, all right, the poll is up. You can use your poop points.
Don't choose the Pope.
Yojimbo
Probably
says,
not.
let's not forget variant covers. People collecting physical is a diminishing audience. You can sell it for less than it requires higher sales to make up for a low cost. We're also on YouTube. If you're watching this, make sure you go to YouTube, The Bernard Chang. There's a link in the chat. And hit that subscribe on YouTube with a like. Hit the like. And then on Twitch, just hit the follow. Yeah, he only has like 2 or 3 variant covers for that, which is good. I mean, I think there's going to be, a variant cover. I mean, Sean, you had variant covers for your Evermind, right? You had like 6. Thanks to Jerry's brainwashing. You had 6 variant covers, and then you also had two versions of your own cover, right? You had
No, it was just one of mine for you probably saw different issues. So
no, but you had a black and white version.
oh yeah, I guess
So that's a variant,
Yeah.
like what they call a virgin cover, right? So
Hubba, hubba.
Sean doesn't know anything about that. So
Mhm.
you have a virgin cover, and then so you already had one variant cover, and then you had 6 other ones. How well did the variant covers do versus? Because the variant cover, you got to print up additional, print runs. Anyways,
Yeah, I
the
don't
poll
know.
is done. The poll ended.
Alan the Alien.
Alan the Alien overwhelmingly defeated John Cena.
Okay, let's
Uh,
see who this guy is.
Okay, let's do our this is our quick research. Alan, is it Alan, like Alan?
Alien Alien.
Alan the Alien. Oh, okay. All right. This is one-eyed, like a big one-eyed alien guy.
Oh, that guy. Okay.
Kind of cartoony, but no. What does this character do? Is he a
He's
good
really
guy?
strong.
Is he a bad guy? Is he?
He has no depth perception.
Yeah. Is he comic relief? He's a major character in Invincible. Have you guys watched Invincible?
I watched a couple of the first season, I think.
Yeah, because the new one just
I
came
have
out.
not.
I mean,
What is the stream on?
Netflix.
Amazon.
Amazon. Yes, Amazon.
Both?
I think Amazon. Right?
Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is another example of like an ancillary product for a comic book is this animated series, which takes, the Invincible comic has been out for a while. It did okay, right? I don't know the numbers of in terms of its sales, but I'm assuming it did okay. How many issues was the initial Invincibles run?
A
There's like
lot.
20 graphic novels.
There's 20. Oh, so they did a lot. So there was a following.
Yeah.
And then
With one artist, I think, right?
yeah, I think
I
he
think
was,
so.
Yeah. And then part of that is I think somewhere in between the different collected. So it's graphic novels. They didn't come out with single issues. I'm not too familiar with how their publishing runs. They got this deal. Obviously, it takes maybe 2 to 3 years to do an actual season of an animated show nowadays. They're on season 4. Alan the Alien is based on Doomsday of DC Comics. How many seasons of Invincible on Amazon is there? I guess there's 3. Voiced by Seth Rogen. Okay. How does Alan the Alien contribute to the coalition of planets? It's a crucial role mission to prevent the. He provides valuable insights into the relentless nature of the Viltrumites and the participants in strategic discussions about Earth's defense against them. Okay. What is the special powers? Is bred from superhuman strength, bred for superhuman strength, speed, and agility, and trained as a formidable fighter. He can telepathically communicate, fly, levitate, and survive in space, traveling at faster than light speeds. Can adapt to fatal injuries, allowing him to heal without aid. Okay. What's so special about the character?
He has one big eye.
Well, yeah, but
His really thick
personality-wise,
fingers.
Anybody in chat watch Invincibles or have read Invincibles? Has powerful but goofy. Okay.
If it's Seth Rogen, then he's basically just playing himself, is what I'm imagining.
Okay.
Powerful but goofy.
144.
Probably just laughs.
144 issues. That's over 10 years. Yeah. I mean,
Smokes weed.
we're only 4 years into our stream. Invincibles is 10 years, at least. 144 issues. Season
You're
4
more
is
than
next
4 years into the stream.
Yeah, we've been streaming for 4 years.
I think it's more than 4 years.
Just feels like it.
Yeah, a little bit over.
And longer. Or at least
Okay.
since you started.
Simple Man has basically Alan is a recruiter to determine if the planet has superheroes strong enough to fight off Viltrumites. He ends up making a pretty big error by visiting Earth instead of Urath, but makes friends with Invincible, who he plans to recruit to help take out the Viltrumites, who are planning to take over the entire universe. Okay. All right. Well, anything else?
Yeah. That
I need to know
Cartoon
before.
was violent as hell.
Huh? The show?
I think I saw the first 2 seasons. Yeah, it's violent as hell. There's so much blood.
It's like an adult animated show, right?
Which is weird. I mean, do adults watch cartoons?
Sean,
I'm an adult. I watch cartoons.
The primary audience for the animation industry is adults nowadays.
I'm barely an adult. I'm a young adult.
Who drew this one?
I'm going to call myself a young elderly.
I gotta go to sleep.
It's past elderly time.
Why is this screen not showing up? Okay, here we go. All right. Well, Jerry, who's coming to the? Do we have any confirmed guests for the?
For the opening reception,
Yeah.
I haven't really been able to talk with too many people. So the only one I know that's coming is your boy Paul Azaketa. I believe Jared Fletcher.
Paul's coming, really?
Yeah.
Who invited him?
Andy will be coming. Andy's actually helping me hang up some of the artwork on Thursday.
Okay.
So you're not hanging on just on Friday?
Friday is the banners. Thursday I'm just
Okay.
gonna go hang up the picture frame stuff.
Oh,
This
and Carson
guy,
McKinney.
Sean, Carson McKinney will be there.
Carson McKinney's going? Nice.
Yep.
So I guess he's back from school. Carson, last time we asked, are you going to go to the Japan trip for SCAD? Are you eligible to go? But you're graduating. So, who else?
Perry will unfortunately be in a different country.
Oh,
Well, has he ever heard of an airplane? Speaking of, what about Courtney?
Yeah. Where's my invite?
You don't need an
sure,
invite.
you want to come to New York?
It was on the Instagram post. That was the invite.
Oh,
That
man.
is the invite. You know, a couple of people have been giving me grief. I'm like, guys, I posted
I'm
on
just kidding.
Instagram.
I'm just kidding.
If you saw the post, if you know I was supposed to invite you, that means you should have just come.
It's next week.
Next Thursday,
Next
Mm.
Thursday.
6 to 8.
Flights to New York are so expensive.
But the memories are priceless.
Yes.
Maybe I'll try to make out for New York Comic Con is what I've been saying the past couple of years, but maybe.
Is this guy? I'm
I didn't
assuming.
realize our artwork is going to be up for a long time.
Yeah.
For a month.
Well,
No.
it's going to be a month at Chelsea Market, and at Pearl River, it's going to be until August 24th.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. How does this is this guy usually, this character, is he usually surprised? Is he usually angry? Is he usually happy-go-lucky?
I believe he's usually drunk.
He's usually drunk?
Hi, probably.
He's got a very long face. Defined cheekbones.
He looks like a mouth breather.
I'm a mouth breather. What are you saying? There's nothing wrong
You-
with breathing from your mouth.
You probably snore a
Yeah, there
lot.
is. You hear people taping their mouth at night?
Yeah, so that's the latest fad. Right?
Does it work? No, you
Well, I
couldn't
guess
do that. You
to
die
preserve
from
your
art.
teeth. Right? There are people who say that, you know how people say like how you get cavities? A lot of times people say that you eat too much candy or you eat too much carbs or something, or you don't brush your teeth. But some people say the biggest reason is mouth breathing.
What? Really? I never heard of that.
Well, there's those some people, their names begins with S.
Well, I mean, these things that you hear them on Instagram, and they're I think they're trying to shock you with some facts. So the most shocking facts are the ones that are not true.
Hmm. It doesn't sound true.
Well, what is the theory behind mouth breathing and cavities? That you have
Well,
excess
okay,
oxygen in your mouth, which then builds up.
most dentists say that the best environment for your mouth in order to not get cavities is sort of like a baby's mouth. How it's always they're always drooling. It's always wet. It's when that saliva dries up, then the pH in your mouth is more. I guess the
Mhm.
things that don't get the thing that get rid of cavities or neutralize the sugars, it's not there anymore. So when it dries out, that's when the cavities start.
So we can eat more sugar and not brush our teeth?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then sometimes the dentist chew gum because it keeps your mouth wet.
Mm.
What about just drinking a lot?
Alcohol?
Well, there probably isn't that pH stuff that reduces the acidity. So the acidity in your mouth goes away when there's a lot of saliva.
Okay, I think I got the layout pretty much done here. It's a pretty simple character. Although his clothes tend to be, I guess, a little alien, futuristic. Got a collar. It looks like he has a jacket, but then he has a shirt on underneath. Any door prizes at the opening?
They might be able to hear you fart.
Why don't you get do you need help setting up? I mean, Is Carson McKinney available, or is there anybody in chat in the stream that wants to volunteer? Get internship
I'll
credit.
come if you fly me over.
I'm there on Friday with Power Tools.
Oh, Sean's gonna help set up.
Gonna bring me the tools to do this.
I got the impact drill.
You're gonna rank, Sean. I mean, you have free 16-year-old labor. Why don't you?
Well, actually, my friend Chum Chum, he's gonna help me set up on Friday too, because he's the store designer for every Tiffany's store.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I sense that he'll be pretty good at hanging up, banners. I'm really utilizing his skills here, his skill set.
I'm picking up the banners tomorrow afternoon. So
I've got pictures of them. They look pretty awesome.
yeah. Oh, so yeah. I guess you went with the. I thought maybe you were going to do all the group sign things, so that it's more like signage. But actually, you actually blew up our pieces, so they're
Well,
more artwork.
I only blew up yours, Bernard's, and mine, and then I did 2 of the group ones.
Cool. Okay. So
So everyone else is out of luck.
So provided that no one destroys those banners, Bernard, you can hang it in your loft. It's going to be 5 feet long.
You guys are more than
Oh my God.
welcome to have them. I don't know what the hell we're gonna do with 5 foot, banners of these drawings, but Sean, if you want, obviously, I'm assuming you want yours.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so keen about hanging it up in my house, but
Maybe in Travis's bedroom.
if there's a business that wants it, could use, or maybe even the Chinatown Fair, if they could use it, that'd be great, because it'll be just more exposure for me.
That's an interesting idea.
It's an interesting idea. Unfortunately, I drew the goddamn subway, so.
The MTA will put it on.
Well, you could sell
Just
it.
see it when-
You could sell the banners and then make back your money. That's a trend that's going around right now at shows, is that a lot of artists will print up banners, the roll-up banners for their conventions, and then at the end of the weekend, they'll sell that actual banner for cost, or if not, like a little profit.
Yeah, you remark it too and sign it.
Yeah, you do like
remark
a
it.
remark and you sign it. So
It's good for a
I
few
actually
$100.
sold one of my originals from the show already, actually.
what do you
Oh,
mean?
cool.
The original to my Pigsy drawing.
Oh yeah, nice.
So that was pretty nice.
They're gonna be like let's see. Is there gonna be a game that night?
Probably knowing our luck.
Like, is there a Nick game that night?
It's hard to tell right now.
Well, they have the layout. I mean, they have the schedule laid out. If they make it to game, it would be 1, 2.
Yeah.
They said game 2, 3. It would be game 7 probably. But it's Thursday, so maybe not. Yeah, we could check on ESPN. Did somebody pull that up in chat? It's probably a Mets game. So I think this sketch will be based on Jamie Odell's request. We can kind of figure out and talk a little bit about how I might approach this from a shading perspective or a cross hatching.
I think this guy's always getting beat up, so you might want to do him battle damage.
Is he always getting beat up?
Like you might want to throw some blood onto him. I think he gets beat up by the Viltrumites all the time or something like
Who are
that.
the Viltrumites?
The alien race that
Invincible's dad, his peoples.
So this is the beat up version.
and Jerry's going to request colors. When this is
Yeah. Blood, red for the blood. It's
Well-
coming up, so you might as well just get it ready now.
If he's beat up, then I gotta change the pose.
What? Oh my god!
Ah, just have him missing some teeth. Have him missing some teeth and have him with some blood.
Oh,
You did, Jerry.
oh no. Well.
I'm gonna go back down to the standard down shot, 3/4. I'll still have
Definitely have him missing a couple teeth.
See this
Give him a
one.
black eye.
This
Give him one giant black eye.
Oh.
this version, he looks like the back of his head has a little bit more of a lump. So, and then it looks like what his eyeball is a vertical pupil. His eye. I do like how he's drawn the eye to be protruding a little bit. So, the pupil. I won't do the back of the head as this is drawn already. But anyways, any other new sponsors? You said we picked up.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but Ray, you know, Keith Child's brother, Ray, he works with Namwa.
Uh-huh.
So he asked me if he could bring some dumplings. And then he reached, so I just told him to talk to the owner of Pearl River.
Okay.
I can't see why they would be upset with, you know, Chinatown's oldest dim sum restaurant bringing some dumplings for everybody.
Nice. What about news coverage? Is there a new local Chinatown paper?
I don't know.
The Chinatown Gazette?
I haven't really been able to do too much stuff recently. Been a little busy with
Right.
some other stuff.
What about World Journal? If we made it into the World Journal, then we can show this to our parents.
I was in a World Journal.
You were who was that? Sean?
Yeah.
When were
Yeah,
you in the
I've
World
been in the World Journal a couple times, and I've done a couple drawings for them.
See, yeah, now you're showing off.
My mom used to be
I
the editor
know,
in chief.
I know.
No way. Really?
But Sean was in the World Journal. That's a sign of you know, if you're a Chinese American,
Asian success.
Taiwanese American, if you made it into the World Journal, then your parents would really respect you. But you know, what were you in the
Yeah,
World Journal for, Sean?
Well, you know, we did that. There was a Asian American Comic Con that was at the was it near the Tenement Museum or somewhere?
Right.
That's where
The
all
museum-
of us were, right?
Yeah, Chinese America. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you went up to use the bathroom, and then this girl started asking me questions, and then I found out that she was writing an article,
Mm.
and then I did like maybe a 15-minute interview with her, and then when she was done, she left, and then you came back from the bathroom. I mean, it was simple as that. And then I didn't know what it was for, but then a lot of my like aunties and the people in my mom's church group
Yeah.
started saying like, "Oh, your son," and then someone sent it to me. I was like, "Oh, dang, that must have been that girl."
Yeah. If I could only have held it in.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's all. It would have been all the difference in the world. It was just bad timing. She came by. I remember you got up, and then she came by. You know, I always make an attempt to tell you every girl that drops by, and then when I turned, you were gone.
Are you saying I would have kept it in?
Yeah, I mean, because she was asking, and I was thinking like this is really more up your alley because they asked you about your connection with your Asian culture, and I'm like, oh boy, you're talking to the wrong person here.
We did the thing for MTV during that. I remember that one.
Yeah, it was that same day. Yeah,
That was a cool thing, but I never saved it. I never got a chance to save that video. That was a fun little video that we did for MTV. Sean and I had
I
a
never
sketch
saw it.
battle, and they had it on the MTV site for a while, but then it got taken down. And
Memory.
What did you guys do?
huh?
What did you guys do?
It was a sketch battle where on one sheet of paper we sat across from each other, and I would draw something,
They reached underneath the table.
right? And then Sean
Surprise!
would draw something that would counter that on the same piece of paper. So it's like one side has, like, two sides have a drawing. So
It was Battle of the Sketches.
I forgot how it started. It was something like, let's say I drew a horse, and then Sean would draw a car, right? That the car would run over the horse, right?
Oh,
I would draw my character riding a horse. I'm like, okay, we're gonna go in a battle. Sean has a character, I have a character. I draw a horse for my character, so now he has a tactical advantage. Then Sean draws like a tank or a car, right, to run over my horse and out chase my horse. Then I draw a jet, and then he draws a laser guided missile system to shoot down my jet. So it kind of went back and forth like that. Although I don't think those were the specific ones. I do remember there was one with it got into the crocodile hunter. It was a stingray.
Yeah.
I might have drawn a stingray or something.
Oh.
And then it was dark. And then I drew Perry in it because Perry was at the show. And Sean eventually won because he drew a kid
He
with
cheated?
an internet connection. And I said, "Oh, you can't beat that." That was a really good off. That was a really good off ramp. That you can't beat a kid with an internet connection.
You were thinking you're going to draw something that can't be beaten, so you drew an A bomb. And I was thinking for a while, I was like, all right, well, I think I can one up the A bomb, and I drew a B bomb.
A beep.
And, yeah, because B is higher than A.
That's right.
But I think I never saw the video, but I think the way they edited it was probably like really, really good because everyone said they saw it and they were always laughing.
Yeah.
But I never watched it.
It was it had a nice beat to it. I think there was like a little bit of music, and it was a couple minutes, so it wasn't like a really long thing. They trimmed it a little bit, but it had some funny points, and then it had a really good ending. Right? You can't beat a kid with an internet connection. That's just facts. Okay, I kind of like this pose. I'm glad we got to this.
Missing teeth.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss. Yeah, that's a good one. Although this drawing, the reference drawing, he has like an underbite. I don't know how much I want to copy this.
Who's this artist again? I mean, it's that one artist that
Ryan
drew
Ali?
this comic. Ryan Ali, yeah. He's really good, and he's especially good at drawing these kind of creatures. I think he's really known for drawing really good fists.
And this is Skybound. So
Oh,
who
yeah.
was it?
So what's the deal with that invest in Skybound thing?
It makes it sound like they need money, but they're supposedly like very successful.
Well, I think every company needs money, right? So I do think, yeah, I think they're trying to get people to raise. They're probably trying to raise some more capital so they can do more projects. Um, I don't know. Did you invest?
No, I ain't Sean Chen. I ain't making that kind of cash money.
You got a couple.
I didn't invest in
You got a couple Jim Lee drawings.
Oh, you do?
Yes, I do.
And he's got
Wow.
a couple Travis Cheris drawings. Travis Charest. Is it Travis Charest or Travis Cherished?
He said it's cherished.
It's Cherished.
Yeah, which is weird.
Charest sounds better. Okay. All right. So I guess to crosshatch, you know, right now, what I have right now is kind of. Get rid of this reference.
I saw a guy on Instagram who was talking about cross-hatching, and he's one of those things like, here's a simple tip to make your cross-hatching better. And I don't agree with it, because he basically said, like, instead of just drawing these lines that represent gray, you should conform the lines to the surface. Like George Washington on the dollar bill, how his hatching kind of follows his the landscape of his face.
Yeah.
And I think maybe sometimes you can do that, but I think that's just, I don't think people do that much. A lot of the best artists don't try to, go over the surface that way. Because, I mean, there's a lot of artists, in the end, it's really just the gray tone. So you can just do, it can be in any direction.
So you're picking a fight with this guy, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it's, and also, yeah, if he's doing a face, is he really going to try to get those lines that represent gray to conform to the anatomy of his head? I mean, is he that good that he?
So you're saying he doesn't know what he's talking about?
I think it's just a general rule that doesn't really apply all the time.
Well, right now I'm kind of just, you can see I'm kind of going in there and adding some lines. They're done fairly quickly, but they're not necessarily straight lines. So they are kind of done in the sense of the contour of the shapes of the face, the structural components of the face or the skull. So on one hand, this is an alien, so you could fudge things a little bit more than with a regular human. And also, if it's kind of stylized, or if it's kind of cartoony, you can fudge things. But here I'm like defining the top of the skull. What is this area? This is the temple area. What is this called? It's like this area right here.
The frontal lobe.
Is it side lobe? Is it frontal lobe? Side lobe?
Temporal lobe.
Temporal lobe? Yeah.
Frontal lobe.
So,
and the back one's occipital lobe.
So typically, this guy has a big frown, or a big what is this? Eyebrow ridge, and it kind of protrudes out. You can kind of see it, and as it protrudes out, a lot of times it creates this this area right here in the temporal lobe that's kind of smooth. So right here where the eyes, the rib cage, I mean the skull casing for the eyeball kind of comes out a little bit, and then there's a soft tissue here, and then you feel the bone again in the back. Primarily, you also have to figure out where is the light source coming from. As I'm drawing it, it's as if we're taking a photo of him, and the camera is right in front. It's not coming from the top, right? It's coming straight at him. So you got to figure out where you want the light source to come from, and I think that'll help guide the rest of your kind of cross hatching. Here is the mouth, the skull kind of dips in, where the skin kind of dips in here a little bit. We can kind of see his teeth underneath. little bit of fat. His cheeks come out. This might. Some of this is just based off of studying stuff. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull up a man's face. Okay, this one's good. The ones with the beard aren't very good because it covers up a lot. If we go here, this picture has three light sources, three main light sources, right? You see the left and the right, and then there's a light coming straight at him, which creates the light in the middle. And then if you see on the cheeks here and on the side, so they're both on each side. There's a light, but there's also a primary light source right in the front. I think I'm going to try to negate the two light sources and focus more on the frontal one. And you can see where it's hitting. Primarily the middle of the nose. It's whatever is the flattest part is what's going to generate that kind of light rebound. So you also notice like right underneath the eye, somewhere, some parts here in the forehead, the lips, the very bulbous part of the nose. What else? Right here underneath the nose, the nostril is primarily flat. So it's also not the piece of the face that's furthest out that gets the light. It's really the piece that's the flattest gets the light. Anything that's curved is going to get a mixture of that. Anything, Jerry, Sean, or Courtney, you guys mentioned? You guys notice here too?
This is serious studio lighting.
Yeah.
It's so even. He's got like one light on the front and then two on the side. It means it's very unnatural, but it's
Very dramatic.
I guess you can. Yeah, but in a sense, like, what's more dramatic than one light source, like from above? I mean, there's no deep shadow, so it does cancel out most of the shadows because light's coming from all directions. But it does give you a strong sense of the form, though.
Oops. All right, let's see. Well, what else? This one's a little bit more subtle. I'm looking for.
Everyone's got a beard.
Yeah, the beards don't help when you're looking at like this guy here is a little bit. I can't zoom in. Can't zoom in. Okay, well, yeah, it's so trendy to have a beard. Try to look for someone with pronounced cheekbones, too. Right, you can obviously see like this guy here. You can see that there's a definitive light source, and then there's a definitive shadow right on this side, and the light source is coming kind of this way at an angle. Trying to find one that's straight on. Okay, let's see. Let's use this one. similar, but here you can also see a little bit of the on the edge of the rib. I mean the ridge of the eye here. It's creating a little bit of shadow because there's a primary light source coming directly at his face. There is a slight light source up top because you can see it's generating a shadow on the chin.
Okay.
Anything else? I mean, cross hatching. I like to have the lines kind of conform to the shape of the head a little bit, or at least contribute to the curvature of the head. You know, if we were to just go straight down, it is possible.
Yeah, I think there's actually a good way to lead your eye. I think what I've been seeing, like if you look at Olivier Coipel, they're hatching on the face and the upper body that conforms to the anatomy. And then when you get down toward the legs, or like if he's wearing a coat or the cape or something like that, you don't conform to that. And it kind of just says that that area is more casual. It's just a standard gray, and you're trying to kind of not draw your attention to it. So it's drawn in a way where it's a lot sketchier, a lot faster, and it just kind of keeps the focus on the important things. So you can see like a lot of times with Olivier Coipel, he'll just do like a flat hatching when it gets to the cape or the legs, or sometimes the shadow on the legs blends into the cape and there's no border there, and then it'll just fade off into, there's no outline, it just kind of fades off into the background.
Yeah, I think the contrast there is that he wants you to focus on certain areas, right? And the areas that he doesn't want you to necessarily focus on becomes a little bit more of the language or the grammar in terms of the lines that you're using for cross-hatching become more simplified. But as it begins to build contour, and if you're looking at a map, you know, when they have the mountain topography of a mountain and the lines are going wiggly, 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 your eye kind of goes there and finds it more interesting than when it goes just into a standard kind of grid format. There is a technique where, you know, if you're inking, you can also use different pen thicknesses to help further enhance that kind of what should I say, cross hatching or curvature, or not curvature, but like helping form the shape with the cross hatching. But all the lines are pointing in essence to a particular light source or direction. I don't really do, you know, when we started back in the 90s, the cross hatching was a very particular style, right? Like the Jim Lee, Dale Keown is probably the master of cross hatching. Where when he was drawing the Hulk, I remember he had these, you know, intense renderings on the musculature, and really, you know, they were really like, you just get focused on all the lines. And this kind of goes back to the earlier version of value, this earlier discussion of value. And in some way, I think sometimes people, when they see that there's a lot of lines on a piece of artwork, they feel like, well, A, it took more time to produce, and thus B, there's slightly more value in the work. Does that make any sense? I don't necessarily agree with it, but I do think that that is sometimes, what do you say, like a thinking of some people.
The perception.
The perception, yeah.
But Hey guys, I kind of have to take off. I got a lot of stuff I got to take care of. I just wanted to pop in and say hi to everybody.
Thanks for stopping by, Jerry.
I'll see you
Take
Friday.
care.
Yeah, awesome, Sean. I'll text you like during the day or something.
Okay.
Have a good time, Jerry.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy holidays. Right? What do you think, Sean?
About matching. I mean, there's hatching the way you do it. It's part of a big part of style. And then what I hate is like I thought I found a good way to hatch, but sometimes people say like, oh, it's very 90s, or it could be like that's a lot of your style. It comes out in the hatching and how you do the hatching. And I didn't know I had like a 90s style or something, but I thought it was just the right way to draw. But I don't know what's in vogue now. But I think since we're drawing things that are two-dimensional, first of all, and also smaller than life, because comic books are really small, and the stories are so kind of fantastical, and you know for a fact that what you're looking at is not real, because it's such a fantastical story, and it's smaller and it's not moving or anything. So one of the things we do to kind of make up for that, to say like this is real, and it's like, and people are like, no, it's not real. It's a drawing. It's like, no, this is real because you can see more detail in this than you can with your naked eye looking at something in front of you. And I think that's one of the reasons why hatching around is it's a little bit because a lot of artists have a chip on their shoulder about the fact that none of the stuff we draw really exists. So you can kind of fight that by putting a lot of detail in there and show things that are realer than real. Because really, when you look at something with your eye, you can pretty much see what you're focused on. But then, like you're looking at a guy, you can see his face. But when you, in that peripheral vision, his legs are just kind of like not even really there. It's kind of just like really blurry. But in comics, you can put everything in hyper focus.
Yeah.
And
So the hatching does a lot of that. The hatching allows you to generate a particular focus point and sometimes because of so many lines, the hatching and multi-directional, that it just creates this kind of chaos area that your eye is just immediately drawn to. And if the entire piece or certain areas of the piece is filled with that, it can create the illusion of a lot of energy. But also, again, keeping in consideration the thickness of the lines that you're using, the curvature or the direction of the lines that you're using. Also, right now, if you notice, like I just started going in and kind of putting a little bit more pressure on my pencil to generate a little bit of a darker line. Whereas before, a lot of this other spaces is still fairly light. And again, it gives me the opportunity to, if I wanted to erase, I could. And then again, hatching is a lot of it is just going back and forth. I like to use the lines to help kind of shape the faces, to kind of dictate if there's a particular light source.
I think sometimes when people are really beginning in their kind of amateurs, they'll ask the question. It's very common. It's like, well, if you're gonna put lines all over the face to represent the gray, which direction does it go in? And I remember one of my art teachers said, like, if you don't know which direction to put the lines, just imagine laying your hand over that spot. So which way do your fingers go? Yeah, I don't think it really matters which direction. The most important thing is the value that area represents. You're just basically making a gray area, and if the gray area follows the light logic of the face, then that's most of the battle right there. And then whether the lines are which direction they're going, whether it's hatching or cross hatching, or if it's messy or clean, that's a secondary concern. I think in the Dan Panosian said that the '90s Malibu style of image art was inspired by Barry Windsor Smith and Klaus Janson mixed together.
Really?
Yeah, Barry has this inking style that he uses a pen that's very bold. So his, like if he has like a hound's tooth or whatever you call those little tick marks, they were big and they're very noticeable.
I mean, a lot of this is just layering. You know, I don't really. I'll admit, I really don't have a. I have a particular method, but I don't necessarily always like it. I look at. I know Jim Chung had really good cross hatching. I look at Frank Cho's stuff, and especially on fabric, he has extremely
He has
exquisite.
Franklin Booth style.
Yeah.
Like he's and he can, a lot of people look at Franklin Booth and that stuff is amazing. People like it has almost a universal appeal. So a lot of artists work in that style, and then Franklin Booth is always still the best. But then what's strange is like Frank Cho is as good as Franklin Booth. It's kind of the only time I would ever say that, because so many people try to ape that style, but Frank Cho is actually on par with Franklin Booth.
But it comes down to understanding the form. So
yeah, that's the biggest part. And I'd say if you're kind of beginning, try to light your figures so that there's deep shadows. Almost like Chris Samnee, he doesn't do any hatching, and that's because the hatching is hard to do. So he would just do the shadows, thinking that he'll fill in the hatching later. Then he just never fills in the hatching. So you have that Frank Miller kind of like. So light your figures so that there's heavy black areas, and that's not hatching. That's literally just islands of black, and that's easier to do than hatching. And then once you've done that, then find areas that are gray in between the black shadow and the lighter areas, and just kind of span the two with some hatching. And that's a good way to just start hatching by doing very little of it. And the more you do, the better you get. And pretty soon you will cover the whole figure. But a lot of the heavy lifting is done in the deep black shadows. So maybe start out doing that.
like here, I've created like a ridge on his skull. Like if you feel your skull, there's like a point here where it kind of goes in, and there's like a little like a line that kind of goes around here. And so, especially for aliens, I really like to accentuate that line. You know what I'm talking? What is this called, Sean? This is
So your temporal lobe, the skull has like a little like it's like a scoop out area, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not perfect dome. It's like it's been cut, and then not only is it cut, it dishes in a little bit. It's concave, and the reason for that is because that space is taken up by muscles, and that muscle is what makes your jaw go up and down. So what's supposed to happen is that scoop out in your skull is supposed to be perfectly filled with that muscle, so that it's a smooth transition, that you won't see any disruption to the dome. But because the muscle and the bone don't meet up exactly, you get this ridge.
So here on this other side, I'm trying to recreate that ridge. So
it's like the predator head.
Predator, Klingon, yeah, all of
Klingon,
these
Klingon.
you know. And then even the top of the head,
Ferengi.
I'm leaving a little bit of a ridge in the top, just to just see if I like it or not. I mean, I can always go back and fill it out, or go back in with a eraser.
This is not what you do for comics, right? This is
Well, the Power Man issues, the recent Power Man, I've done a lot of hatching, a lot more hatching than normal, um, especially on Power Man. And yeah, let me bring one up. You guys can see.
Oh, so your style is sort of like changing a little bit.
Well, it shifts for the project. That's always been my MO. Depending on the project or the book or the characters, it does need to shift a little bit. Shit.
Yeah, Batman Beyond does not need any hatching.
Yeah, that book does not need any hatching.
Frank Cho has a couple of styles, so he does more and more. He's been working on his Franklin Booth style, but then yeah, he does that Serpieri style, which is. When I was reading Heavy Metal, that was like I don't know what to feel about that stuff, but it was just foreign comics.
Let's see this page here. This was a lot of hatching. On the back muscles. You guys can see this.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I felt-
hatching with the digital hatching.
Yeah, like I felt like this was a scene where, Power Man just been battling Aeon and along with Apocalypse, and it gets shredded. The page before, there's a big confrontation, and Aeon slices the void out of Power Man. And so even if you look at like Power Man's face, right, I do a lot of this kind of hatching in there. So the hatching here is not just the ink line hatching, but then black ink line hatching. But I go in with a white ink line, and I add reshape it a little bit more, just to give it a little bit more context. So if you look at the eye, there's some hatching, but then this is like an eraser, like or with white pen going in. You can even tell, especially in the beard. I do that a lot in the beard, where there'll be black, and then I'll go back in with a white, and then kind of deconstruct. Here in the face, there's some hatching in the nose, not a lot. But then, he just, basically got through like a big battle. This one's just more of effects than anything. But see, like drawing digitally allows you to kind of, I do the base drawing, and then
You know what I saw once? Sarah Pacelli, she does, was it Ultimate Spider-Man or, what's his name, Miles Morales. You know how he has that fade where so the top of his hair is just completely black and then his cheek is just skin, and then she doesn't hatch that. She goes into her I don't know, a filter or she selects like pre-hatched paint or just I don't know what it is, but every time she draws Miles Morales without the mask, she has to import in this kind of fade, pre-made fade. And I see more and more of that in comics, like Pepe Larraz or the guy who does Batman. They would have, I think it must be like pre-hatched things, fades and interesting things, and they just kind of drop it in. It saves them time.
it could be like a brush that has a preset hatching to it.
Oh, that's cool.
They have tones that have
Yeah.
hatching. That was really common in manga.
So like modern day, it's
Like
like modern day
Zipatone.
Zipatone.
Yeah, zip tones.
Like modern day Zipatone. So
Mm.
I wonder who buys Zipatone anymore if it seems like the computer can do it so much better.
you can ask
Faster.
Jerry. Jerry sells Zipatone at in the shop.
I had some really old ones, and I sold it for a lot of money on eBay. Shockingly, to someone in San Diego too.
Oh.
So
But
hopefully, they're using it well.
um,
They're all from Japan. I don't even know if they were probably dried out.
so these are again these most of the lines in this hatching are curved, and they're accentuating the shape of the different muscles. And this is two different light sources, one on the right, one on the left, maybe one a little bit up top.
So
Two and a
how
half.
do you know how the muscles look, and then how do you even know how they look with two light sources?
I used a particular reference picture. I don't remember. I was just looking up back muscles. So you have like, I mean, this is the shoulder. There's a back. The shoulder has three pieces, three main pieces. This is the three and the two, and then there's one on the front. The tricep is really like two pieces, right? It creates this little V shape. I knew I wanted to have, like, initially I had this as kind of all shaded in, but then I thought, okay, it would look better if it wasn't completely dark. The spine is one, but when your muscles so big, as in my case, you don't. It really comes down to like a valley, right? So I figured, okay, I need to really accentuate this by making this side all black or mostly black. And this side mostly white. It really creates a nice contrast, and a point from which then I can go and, okay, now how am I gonna make the hatching directional? So look up oiled muscle back.
Oiled.
I wonder if I forgot which one I looked at. I looked for.
Or you can look up chicken cutlet, because I see a lot of chicken cutlet there.
Now all of your algorithms are gonna go whack, go crazy. Since you looked up oiled back muscles.
Yes.
I didn't add oil. I didn't use oil. I just used back muscles. So if we were to look up back muscles, right, and then I don't think it was this one. This was too early.
If you look up back muscles, you'll get a lot of diagrams, which is not really what you're looking
Yeah,
for.
this was not.
You know, like
it.
bodybuilder back muscles.
Yeah, this was not it. But this is because this one is it's obviously lit from the bottom and from the side, and slightly some from the top. But you can add from a lot of it is just like looking up a couple different ones, getting a basic shape. Some of it is a little made up, but again, it's comics, so you can kind of fudge it a little bit.
You know, when I'm looking up, I look up anatomy reference all the time. If you look up stuff like bodybuilder arms, you'll get a lot of bodybuilder arms, but then you also get images of bodybuilders without arms, because Google also puts that in there because you might be looking for like missing arms or something like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes the worst thing to look up is like a human anatomy. Like if you write torso, sometimes they'll show you a crime scene.
Oh, wow! You got you got a weird algorithm, Sean.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, I think that's
I
just
think
you
looking at some
specific.
gory stuff.
You're just exposing your dark side to the internet. I have noticed a lot of this stuff is AI now, which is
Oh yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
to me it makes it. I have to like do extra work because then I'm like, because it's AI, is it actually the authentic muscle structure, or is it AI compositing different things to make up its own? So it gives me more work. I have to actually look it up even more.
Well, that's why Sean types into Google "real skinned man,"
Yeah.
and
Right,
that's why it gets gory.
dead murder
Real
scene.
skin man. It'll show me
Real
someone
dead
who's been flayed.
skinned man.
So, and you know, a lot of these muscle things, it's the you know, it's always multi-lit because you really get to accentuate the musculature of the human anatomy. So, anyways,
Yeah, they're rarely outdoor like natural lighting pictures. It's always in a studio where they oil them up and then they have like different light sources so that it does show off the form, but not also doesn't show off forms in a way.
musculature. So I think I really like a lot of this. You know, I've really been getting into a little bit more of the hatching. I don't think I can show anything from the 4th issue, but 3rd issue came out, so like, you know, here in the face and the head, playing with the veins and the hatching.
It's really useful to be able to hatch white into black areas
So it's like using a
because you
whiteout
can't
pen,
really do that.
but you can use it.
The white it doesn't work then. Whiteout pen does not work that well though.
Right. No, and because digitally you can control the thickness of that, right? So you can go in initially with a thinner pen, and if you like it, maybe go a little bit thicker, and then if you don't like it, just, you know, delete it, and then because I'll maybe, if I'm not sure, digitally I'll have it on a different layer, and then you know, that way I can easily correct it or eliminate it. So. This is Apocalypse. And here's the hatching. You can see there's the hatching in the background. It's multi-directional. There is the kind of burst, but then there's other going in with the white to kind of take away. It's like an eraser. And then when it gets printed, you know, it gets shrunk down. So it maybe looks like there's a lot of detail or a lot of stuff going on, but it's actually quite simple. Does that answer a lot of the questions? Even in the hands.
I'm confused.
What are you confused about?
I'm just kidding. I looked at more of it as a, you know, a lot of it is personal style, I think, from what I've seen in the different, more manga worlds of those different artists.
Yeah, like, so with the Power Man, especially in issue 3, there's even more in issue 4. But there's definitely a you can go in. I think some of the problems maybe that you might be running into is also, again, just initially understanding the shape of the object that you're trying to render. And so, like here in the ridge of the eyebrow, the what is the eyebrow area, it's counterintuitive for me to add a top hatching, but that's how it would work. You know, when we're looking at the faces, it's not what's the area that's protruding out, but it's the area that's the flattest that will get the light. What were you gonna say, Sean?
Oh yeah, I like a lot of people say like have trouble hatching. You know, like I said, the hatching itself, which way you make the lines, how thick they are, there's a lot of things will work, but what's I think really is the problem, and unfortunately there's not any real solution for it. Just completely understanding the form and then how light reacts over that form. And I didn't even know how. I mean, that just requires lots of observation, a lot of sketching and studying. And then if you get your light logic down set, and then you understand anatomy, then you know you're really off the races. So yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like if you look at Dave Finch's drawing, like, he doesn't really use reference all that much at all. But everything he does is so real because he just understands anatomy, and then he understands. He always uses a certain light source. Like you can move the light around, and then there's a certain position where the light accentuates all the bumps and ripples more. Because you can light something very badly, like a front-on light, ambient light source, so that all the cool stuff just disappears. So he's always moving the light around so that it's showing the most. It highlights all the anatomy at its best. And just knowing how the anatomy looks and how light falls over it, the characteristic of light and shadow, that stuff is hard to learn, but you can learn it. I mean, light logic is something that it's like there's a science to it, and you can figure it out, you know, with enough observation and just kind of being smart about being observant. Either that or just use photo reference every time. So.
All right. Is it about time to get out of here? Almost.
It's almost 9.
Time to get out of here.
And Jerry's not around to push you to color it. So.
Yeah, color it green.
What color is he?
You see that green? He's probably green. Watercolor green.
Here I'm going over with an eraser. This is kind of mimicking what I did digitally. Or would do digitally.
You know, I think you guys talked about it a lot when, probably a couple years ago now. Somebody probably asked the same question, but you mentioned women's faces and the using of cross hatching on women's faces and how sometimes that could be negative because it could kind of look more aging.
Yeah.
So, or like children.
Women and children, you want to limit the number of hatching that you're doing on the face.
I guess that's hard because if you have like a character like this right next to a woman, then you probably ease up on more of the heavier cross hatching, just because it might look a little. Would you say?
I think it might be a little bit. Also, the women's face might, if you would still want to emphasize shadow, it would be a little bit more stark. You wouldn't have a lot of hatching. You could still have half the face in silhouette or in shadow, but there's just not a lot of like these hatching events.
Interesting.
There's that guy that I think we were talking about, Frank Cho. So he has a style that he's influenced by this guy named Serpieri. His work was in heavy metal a long time ago, and I think the character was called Druna, D-R-U something N-A, and that guy would draw like the biggest badonkadonk and like really sexy women who just like busting out all over the place, and it's hatched like crazy. And Frank Cho does that too, where he also hatches a lot on with his ballpoint pen drawings. So there is ways you can hatch the hell out of women and children. And
I think it's more of the face, though. Yeah. Did they do that?
I think you can. I think if the face is scaled up and the hatching is very subtle. So it really depends. I mean, it's kind of strange. Like if you don't do any hatching on a woman's face, then you can never really do a close up of a woman because so. And you know, it might be one of the constraints when you're creating a comic. It's like you just note to self: don't ever show this woman close up, because then you're kind of betraying your the rules you set down for your style.
That would
That's
be
what
an
I tell people about taking pictures of me. Like, you're getting a little too close. I'm getting older.
that would be an
Stay away.
interesting exercise, as to, you know, can we hatch, like, you know, to do cross hatching on a female character with the same intensity, and you know how you can make it work. You are right. Yeah, I have seen some Frank Cho work where he does do considerable amount of hatching on females, characters, and it still works. They still retain. But I think it's also the thickness of the lines, the curvature of the softness of the hatching, as opposed to kind of this. And I wouldn't see it. I wouldn't even say this is not necessarily comic book style hatching or 90s style. This is not. This is definitely not 90s style hatching, right?
Yeah, like I can see like you're doing the thing where the hatching on the face really conforms to the anatomy, but then when you get down to the neck, it's just basically parallel lines that are kind of they don't really conform that much, so it kind of brings your attention to the face.
Yeah.
And there is like some people have if your style is you drawing things where you draw a comic where everyone's eye is like a dot, which is a fairly common thing, just have a black dot for an eye. You can never show a close-up because then that dot is just like when that person gets very close, then you actually have to draw the eye. And then if you draw the eye, then people are looking and say, oh, well, that's weird. He really shouldn't have an iris and the whites of his eye and all that, because you're kind of betraying your own rules. So sometimes certain styles make it not possible. So, you know, I mean, if you're a type of person that doesn't hatch on a woman's face, you just can't show a real close-up of it.
It is well, or to have that Ren and Stimpy kind of effect, right? Where it goes into the hyper realistic painting.
Oh yeah, where it's like a oil painting or color pencil with
Yeah.
the rest of it. Yeah, I mean that's really jarring. And when they do like a close up of a zit on Ren's face, they bring out the airbrush and everything.
Okay. Let's give this. We're pretty much done here, right?
Hmm.
Anything else? Did I miss anything in chat today? I haven't been following up in chat that much. Let's see. Courtney,
Yeah.
you want to text me a letter from A to Z?
Yes.
Let's give
Yeah,
this
I'll do
away
that.
to everybody in chat.
It doesn't go right to Jeremy Odell.
Well, let's see. I mean, Jamie Odell might want to text Courtney to influence which letter she's going to text me.
Let's see. Send your way.
All right. So people in chat, A to Z, you want to win this sketch? Anything else happening in the world these days?
Terrible things.
All right. Is Jamie Odell going to the opening? If he wins this and he's going to the opening, then I'll bring it. Blues Boy is here. Good to see Blues Boy. Alzilla 71. Good to see Alzilla. What's up, Lurky Lurk? Kevin P. West. Oh, what's that? Is that Fletch Chufong?
What?
He was on a plane, right?
I think he texted that he landed.
Fletch is on a plane?
He was on a plane.
Oh.
Denver, was it?
He said he texted the group that he landed in Denver.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I don't know if I like these last lines that I'm adding in. I could be overworking it now. Now is the point of also overworking. Do we have everybody already enter their guesses?
Yep.
Okay,
Probably.
can Lurky Lurk lock it up?
I see a winner though.
You see a winner.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Does the winner's name begin with J?
Unfortunately, no.
No. All right, what is the letter that you texted me? I can confirm that. Oh.
Letter P.
P.
oh, it's your Jimbo.
Yojimbo. Yojimbo has like a stack of artwork. All right. Congratulations, Yojimbo.
Hope you like this character.
I hope you like this character. That's right.
Why'd you choose the letter P, Jimbo? I want to know.
Well, better yet, why did you choose the letter P? Courtney.
I don't know.
P
It just came to
for
me.
Pizza?
She's got to use the bathroom.
P. No, I wonder.
Oh, is a Cat Lady Day a real thing?
No. Probably not.
Is that? Oh, so you made it up?
I was not. No,
There
no,
is-
no. It is a real thing. It is a real
Okay.
thing, but like not. Yeah, it's a real thing.
So there must be a Cat Day, but there's a Cat Lady Day.
Apparently. So
Wow.
I wasn't celebrated like I should have been, but that's fine. That feels like a Mother's Day that I missed, but that's okay. I deserve gifts. Yeah.
All
My
right.
children.
Let's get out of here. This is a little bit of Arnold. That cheek bone right here.
Oh, so you remember from Arnold what the cheekbone looks
Yeah,
like?
it goes back to this, yeah. See, I'm replicating a little bit of that. This is like look, if you look at this, that looks kind of like an Arnold. Right? That looks kind of like Arnold a little bit. With the protruding mouth, right? That's very much almost like a stylized Arnold Terminator Arnold mouth.
The alien looks very contoured. Looks very. He went hard with the contour and the highlight.
Looks like he could be on his he could be on a dollar bill.
Yeah. No, it does.
Yojimbo. All right, well, thanks for watching today. Who should we raid? K-Pop Junkie, we're going to be on her show. Daniel Ortiz Arts, good to see you. Who should we raid? Alzilla71. Anybody have a suggestion on who to raid? Let's get out of here. Amarath?
Amaranth. Is she okay? Is she alive? Let's check in on that girl.
You know,
worried.
Amarath's boyfriend was Asian, dude.
The one that beat her?
Yes, I think allegedly.
Allegedly.
What about let's see, who's
Yeah, there's no
on?
James Crow today.
Oh.
This girl looks like she's drawing something interesting. But she's just chatting.
But
Wait, Charles
she's
Lister.
drawing something?
Oh, there's a piece of
Hey, but
artwork.
didn't we know?
Huh?
Someone suggested Charles Lister art. Didn't we know Charles Lister?
Yeah, Charles Lister
That
used to
sounds
work
familiar.
at is it the same Charles Lister?
I don't think so. I mean, how many Charles Listers are there? But I mean, yeah, you remember Charles Lister, right? It's like Kevin Van Hook's friend.
Yeah, from Valiant. He was a smooth
I didn't know he's not really an artist though, right?
It doesn't really look like Charles Lister. This is a different Charles Lister.
Okay.
Let's rate him. Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you for
Happy
watching.
holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, Yojimbo. This does not look like the same Charles Lister.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's check it out. The voice will confirm because that Charles Lister had a very distinguishable voice. Do you remember that? He was like a.
Yeah.
He could have been like a host at a haunted house tour or something, like a very kind of like thespian.
He had a southern accent too, I think.
But like very thespian-esque, like. Okay, all right, let's rate.
Interesting.
Let's see.
Oh wow.
See, that's not him. Is that him? Unless he
I don't
lost
see it yet.
like a ton of weight.